In 1935, a luxury express train prepared to leave Rome on a scheduled route to Milan. The platform was packed with hundreds of passengers dressed in heavy coats and bowler hats, casually boarding for what should have been a routine journey. Inside, the atmosphere was refined. Waiters served drinks in the dining cars, while families settled into plush, upholstered seats. Hundreds of people were on board, expecting nothing more than high-end accommodations and a smooth ride through the Italian countryside. No mechanical warning signs were reported before departure. There were no unusual weather events, and the tracks ahead followed a standard, well-traveled path through the mountains. Nothing about the machinery or the environment suggested the physical impossibility that was about to occur. Along that route, the train approached a routine mountain tunnel, a short, unremarkable passage through the rock. Eyewitnesses outside the entrance saw the locomotive drive forward. They confirmed the sight of smoke trailing behind and interior windows illuminated, right until the train was swallowed by the mountain. But the train never emerged. Somewhere in the darkness of that short passage, it ceased to exist. Authorities immediately launched an exhaustive search. They scoured every inch of the enclosed tunnel, expecting to find the wreckage of a massive mechanical disaster. The expected physical evidence was entirely absent. There were no damaged tracks, no scorch marks from an explosion, and zero crash debris. Investigators weren't dealing with a derailed vehicle. They were witnessing the absolute deletion of a massive physical object from our reality. The only evidence left behind was found wandering the tracks near the tunnel entrance. Two disoriented, terrified men. These was verified passengers who had jumped from the moving train at the last possible second before it entered the passage. They gave a harrowing account of the interior just before they leaped. A thick, white fog had materialized out of nowhere, rapidly filling the passenger compartments. This wasn't steam or smoke. It was a substance that moved unnaturally, flowing against the cabin's air currents as it enveloped the screaming passengers. These survivor accounts reoriented the investigation toward an encounter with a localized, physics-defying environmental anomaly. Decades passed in silence. Then, thousands of miles away from Italy, the timeline fractured at a hospital in Mexico. A large group of highly disoriented patients suddenly appeared at the facility without explanation. Doctors noted immediate red flags. The patients were wearing authentic European fashion from the 1930s and spoke a confusing mix of foreign languages. They made an impossible claim. They insisted they were passengers actively traveling on a train from Italy. Their testimony matched the 1935 event perfectly. They described the same luxury cars, the same mountain tunnel, and the same unnatural white fog. They were confused by their surroundings because, from their perspective, the fog had enveloped them just seconds earlier. This is the mechanic of a time slip. The theory suggests the train wasn't destroyed, but chronologically displaced. While decades passed in the outside world, time inside the cabin stood completely still. This phenomenon seemingly cleaned up its own tracks. Eventually, the intake records and medical files for these patients vanished from the Mexican hospital. This secondary erasure left investigators with zero empirical proof, pushing the incident out of historical record and into global folklore. It sparked persistent rumors that continue today. In remote places, late at night, people claim to see a silent, glowing train appearing on unconnected tracks. It is as if reality corrected itself, erasing the intersection between two disjointed timelines and pulling the evidence back into the vacuum. A profound psychological dread underlies this story, rooted in the existential terror of absolute erasure. A catastrophic crash is tragedy we can process. It leaves physical remains and provides closure. The time slip proposes a more horrifying alternative. It suggests that when the records and patients vanished from Mexico, they were simply reabsorbed into that active state of transit. The passengers are not dead. They remain trapped behind those glowing windows, unaware that a century has passed, forever waiting to arrive.